say, kids, what time is it?
Hey everybody, Keith here from Geektime TV, and yesterday brought some shocking news. The creative industry lost a titan in Doug Trumbull. Many of you know his work from films like 2001: A Space Odyssey, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, Blade Runner, and it goes on, and we'll get into some of that in a bit, but I just want to start by reading this Variety article that was posted yesterday and go from there. I just want to preface this whole thing with, this might be a little jumbled, might be a little discombobulated. I knew Doug personally. I got to know Doug over the last 7 or 8 years. And while I'm not the most qualified person to speak on Doug's behalf, I felt it necessary to kind of pay my respects, especially having gotten to know him and what an awesome, awesome person he was. Let's get into the article first and then go from there. So Douglas Trumbull, who pioneered VFX on 2001 Blade Runner and Close Encounters, dies at 79 by Carmel Dagan. I hope I said that right. Visual effects pioneer Douglas Trumbull, one of the masterminds behind the visual effects on some of the most visually audacious science fiction films of all time, including 2001: A Space Odyssey, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Blade Runner, died Monday. His daughter Amy wrote on Facebook that he had cancer, brain tumor, and a stroke. He was 79. God, that's stunning. My sister Andromeda and I got to see him Saturday and tell him that we love him, and got to tell him to enjoy and embrace his journey into the great beyond, she wrote. Trumbull also oversaw visual effects on Silent Running, The Andromeda Strain, Star Trek: The Motion Picture. He directed an eco-sci-fi film, Silent Running, and Natalie Wood starring Brainstorm. This is not written great. Just say that. He shared Oscar nominations for Best Visual Effects for Close Encounters, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and Blade Runner. And we talked about that a second ago. Like, I want to revisit some of those effects on the way through this, but I dare you to find effects that have held up for 40, 50 years like Doug's effects have. So let's quickly continue. Trumbull also created Universal Studios' Back to the Future, the ride simulator, and helped bring IMAX into the entertainment marketplace. In addition to doing effects work on classic sci-fi films for which he's known, Trumbull also invented and patenting, again, not very well written or proofread, invented and patented dozens of film tools and techniques, from motion control photography to miniature compositing. In 1993, he shared the Academy Scientific and Engineering Award for concept, movement design, and electronic design in the camera system of the CP65 show scan camera system for 65mm motion picture photography, which he developed for Brainstorm and didn't quite work out. Show scan would have to wait a while, and then we'll see he took it to the next step, which is what he was doing up in his studio in the Berkshires, Massachusetts. Let's see. The first modern 65mm camera developed in 25 years. In 2012, he won the Academy's Gordon E. Sawyer Award, which is a special Oscar presented to an individual in the motion picture industry whose technological contributions have brought credit to the industry. In announcing that festival would pay tribute to him in 2013, Locarno Film Festival artistic topper Carlo Chatrian said Trumbull has always known how to look a bit further afar than others, and he's always done this from a doggedly independent standpoint that brought him close to cinema's great artists and masters. Directors such as Kubrick, Spielberg, Scott, and Malick have always wanted him by their side to help carry out their desires to innovate. Or Malick, I should say Malick, or Malik, I don't know. Trumbull was proud of the immersive effect he achieved by Kubrick and the effects team on 2001, with the audience made to feel that it was on the ship with the characters, and he sought to wield technology to create a more immersive form of cinema than offered by Hollywood. Or, as it says here, proffered by Hollywood. This is really sloppy stuff. Variety. He had hoped to release Brain Scan using technology he'd created called SoundScan, but the studio was more interested in such complications, and that disappointment, coupled with the death of Natalie Wood under suspicious circumstances during the making of Brainstorm in 1981, led Trumbull to decide to quit the movie business. And he was always very open and talked about that a lot, how really that whole time put a bad taste in his mouth, and he moved up to the Berkshires in the late 80s. So I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit because it gets really into a lot of details. We'll get to this paragraph here. In later years, Trumbull publicly voiced his belief that the film production and exhibition industries were failing to offer an attractive product, with theater screens small and projection dim. Boy, I tell you, if I had $1 for every time he ranted about that. I don't blame people for wanting to watch movies on their laptops because in many ways it's better than a movie theater, he told the Boston Globe in 2015. Trumbull got a lot of press for his efforts to upgrade cinema images, but few seemed to grasp just how revolutionary his efforts could be. Trumbull was not just talking about a better way to present movies, he wanted to fundamentally change movies themselves. Some movies, anyway. Working on a stage in his property in Massachusetts, Trumbull combined high frame rates in 3D on the production side with advanced projection tech and curved screens that get brightness up to 30-foot Lamberts. Trumbull called this suite of technologies hypercinema. So in 1996, Trumbull won the President's Award from the American Society of Cinematographers at the Visual Effects Society Awards. He received honorary membership in 2002, lifetime membership in 2009, won the George Mellies Award, honoring those who have made significant pioneering contributions to the effects business in 2012, and was named a VES Fellow in 2014. So again, going back to 2001: A Space Odyssey, everyone knows about the spacewalk scene. Which, you know, in the 60s, this was nice and trippy for people who were using brain-enhancing products. But these effects, and the movie itself is so grounded in absolute reality, and everything to this day. I mean, it came out the same year I was born. So 5 decades now, and these effects hold up against anything you'll see today. Same goes for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That was kind of the next time he got a shot at a big production, a big studio production, blockbuster sci-fi film, Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters. And again, I mean, it's Doug loved to use practical effects, as we see with Star Trek: The Motion Picture. He was really against. He wasn't so much against, but he always felt that physical models, digitally composited, would work a heck of a lot better in modern times than using straight CGI modeling. Because when you have a physical model and you're shooting it with a camera, it's got a physical presence. It's got weight. It's got mass. It's got physics to it that you can't really replicate in a computer unless you spend a lot of time trying to put yourself in the mindset that this is a large object, that kind of thing. But I mean, you look at this shot here of the Enterprise model. I mean, this model, and I've heard, was really janky for electronically. Lights would go in and out all the time and things like that. It wasn't really wired great, but I mean, you look at that. That is just absolutely gorgeous. And this launch into warp speed is probably still the best example visually of the Enterprise going to warp to this day. You know, and then Blade Runner. The movie takes place Los Angeles, November 1929. LA doesn't look like this here in 2022, but what does look 2019 are the visual effects. I would dare anyone if you showed them this and said this was made in 2019, they'd probably believe you. And again, miniatures, lighting, just in very detailed organic movement and composition. And again, it's that motion control. Doug was really, really a genius when it came to stuff like that. And here's a little bit from Brainstorm, which was the movie that knocked him out of Hollywood, that he developed ShowScan for. And then, you know, going on afterward to make Back to the Future the ride. And funny story, this ride made a friend of mine throw up, and he threw up on me when we got off that thing. So thanks, Doug. Really appreciated that one. But then we come to the years, and this is where I met Doug. he developed this Magi system, as he was calling it. So the Magi system, God, I mean, I won't even bother to go into it. I am going to link. He has a couple videos on this on YouTube. I'm going to put them in the show notes. I really encourage you to go watch this. This here, where he's figuring out frame rates and why 3D is so disturbing, current 3D in the theaters, because with the shutter at 180, you're missing half the image when the shutter's closed, and your brain is seeing like every other frame, and your brain's trying to catch up, and it's seeing half a frame. I probably didn't even explain that right. Like, he showed me this in a PowerPoint presentation back, I'd say 2014-ish, and just sitting there with him, listening to him explain this, I felt like Marty McFly hanging out with Doc Brown. Because the one thing people will tell you, and Spoiler Pete from our channel got to spend time with Doug too, and he can tell you, he had that wild energy. He loved being creative. He loved the science of it. His father was an engineer. His mother was an artist. So he had that hybrid world, the best of both worlds, where he had that analytical brain to go with the creativity. And to borrow a line from Robert Meyer Burnett, he was a creativity connoisseur. He really was. And it was just so much fun to go up there and just tinker and watch him scheme these ideas and experiment. So my role in getting to know him, I was freelancing with a manufacturing company. I ended up taking a job with them for a short time. And we were testing all kinds of different cameras for this because he was really concerned about the optical distance of the sensor to match the eyes. And we were like flipping cameras upside down. We were taking them apart, like putting sensors into like boxes and trying to get lenses to work because he had to have that right optical distance. And then, of course, we were dealing with compression. His team up there, led by Adam Chait, they were just fantastic guys. We were trying to get storage solutions to work, because if you're shooting 4K at 120 frames a second, you need some mad and fast storage. And we're going back now to it's not current day. This is 2014-ish, 2013, 14, 15. So it was awesome. I mean, it was just an experience I would never trade for anything. And Doug was always just so gracious and warm. And this is part of one of those videos where he shows up. He lives on this 40-acre farm up in the Berkshires in Western Massachusetts. And it was just, I'll just never forget things like going to lunch with him and just talking about movies and just the joy. I'll never forget. It was winter, I think, of 2015, and I brought a camera up for him to look at, and it was snowing out, and we drove up to his house on the farm, and he came outside, no jacket on. He was standing on the porch, and I said, you ready to play with some toys? And he starts jumping up and down. He's like, oh boy, toys. I love toys. That was Doug. He was just an awesome guy. And so part of his Magi system, and I'll link to the video, he created a little 16-minute short called UFOTOG in his 120 frame a second 3D process. And at 30-foot Lambert brightness, like, I swear to God, this is the best 3D I've ever seen. The first time he showed it to us, I was with Jay Ignashevsky, who, if you go back to our May the 4th Be With You show last year, former ILM, we were sitting there watching, and Jay has seen it all, and both Jay and I sucked air. When that thing kicked in, the 3D was so real and so immersive, and so, when you go see like one of these current movies in 3D, it hurts. It hurts. It didn't hurt. So Doug constructed these big globe, like they're portable globe theaters. That's it behind him. These little domes his idea was that he would travel them around, and you'd have these specialty films screened at like fairs or expos and the Super Bowl and things like that. I got to see a very prototype version. This is kind of what the one looked like that I sat in the first time. He had built walls around it because you couldn't see the green screen stage, but that was it. It was folding chairs on a riser, a couple risers. As it developed, and I got to sit in one of the real ones with the subwoofers built in underneath that seating arrangement. It was just absolutely incredible. I haven't been able to see him since COVID, and I was hoping to get up there before it all went to crap. But apparently, I'm not going to make it. So, to Doug, thank you for your friendship. It was a pleasure to get to know you on a personal level and spend time listening to you innovate and experiment. And it's for a little kid who grew up watching this guy's work, it was special. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up below. Also, please subscribe to GeekTime TV. It really helps us grow the channel. And make sure you hit that bell icon in order to receive notifications every time we drop new content here. You can also check us out on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at GeekTimeNet. Thanks again for watching. We will see you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?